Cancel.
Schweezy.
All right, I want to finish this segment off with a movie that is probably going to disturb me I haven't been this disturbed by a movie since I was a child and watched Signs. And you watch Signs now, you're like, oh, you thought that was scary? But first of all, I was a child. My babysitter had brought it over for us to watch. And I don't know, some of those, like, that scene, it's like the alleyway scene, and then, like, the alien kind of walks by like Bigfoot. That scene creeps me. I don't know why that creeps me the fuck out, dude. I think it maybe just the way it was directed and shit, but that creeped me the fuck out. But nothing is as bad as this. I've luckily never seen Human Centipede. I heard a plot synopsis, so I kind of know what it's about. But movies like this, dude, this movie was fucking rough. This is the movie I'm talking about here. It's a movie called Tusk. It's a Kevin Smith movie. Almost said Kevin James movie. It's a Kevin Smith directed movie. Stars Justin Long, Haley Joel Osment. Those are the only characters I know. Oh, and Johnny Depp's in it too. And we're going to get fucking back to Johnny Depp in a second. First of all, I have a bone to pick with that dude. But this movie, Tusk, is it just disturbs me so much. And you know, you're thinking I'm like saying this as like, no. I've been literally thinking about this and it just terrifies me. So this movie also, it's supposed to be a horror movie and a comedy at the same time, a horror comedy. And I will say up front, comedy does not work in this movie. Oh, dude, it's so bad. Okay, so anyways, though, here's my plot synopsis of the movie. I'm not gonna read it. I'm just gonna explain the movie to you, and there's gonna be spoilers. So if you haven't seen a movie from 2014, that's fucking messed up. Okay, so anyways, though. Justin Long, he is a podcaster with his friend Haley Joel Osment. It's called Not See, Notsee podcast. So the joke on it is not see, and it sounds like Nazi. You know, those goofballs Hitler was friends with. So you know, that's the joke of their podcast, and they watch viral videos and talk about it and stuff like that, and they kind of make fun of people. And it's a very big podcast, which even for 2014, that's the only podcast. There's only a handful of podcasts I knew about in like 2014. Back in the day when everything was so much weirder, and like you didn't have to have video for your podcast too. That was a good time. Now it's like I don't even tell people, like, don't start a podcast unless you're gonna have video with it. So yeah, basically it's a podcast, and so he goes to Canada to try to meet some to talk with a kid from a viral video they had. But turns out the kid killed himself or accidentally died. I don't know. Didn't look too much into it. So basically Justin Long went to Canada and got nothing. So he sees a handwritten note on a flyer in a bathroom, and he goes to this guy's house because he's like, I have stories to tell. You should come hang out. And so what happened was Justin Long goes to the house and, like, you know, kind of interviews the guy. And then he was drinking tea, and clearly, like, I could tell at the beginning of the movie, like, the tea was clearly, there's drugs in the tea that knocked him out. So basically that happens, and so this guy decides that he has this long history where a walrus saved his life when he was younger, when he was lost at sea, and eventually he had to kill the walrus for food, and then he was saved immediately after. And so he always felt guilty about the walrus, named Mr. Tusk, by the way. That was the name of the walrus. So now what this guy likes to do is take humans, and he performs surgery on them to turn them into a walrus. Which, you know, why he needs a human to be turned into a walrus, I don't know. Why don't you just find a real walrus and do that shit? So he turns Justin Long into a walrus, and it is terrifying. Like, you see a little bit of the surgery. Like, first of all, he cuts off his legs. I believe both legs were cut off. At the beginning of the movie, you know, it was just one, but then it was two. I guess the arms were kind of sewn together, but hands up, so it, like, mimics the fins of a walrus too, and then like the leg bones are turned into the tusks for the walrus, and just my living hell on Earth being transformed like that, and I don't know, like it feels like there's like a suit over his actual body too, so and stuff like that. So basically, they fight too because he wants to have a rematch with Mr. Tusk, but he has to do it as a human, and then and stuff like that. And like his friends come and save him and shit like that. But he's legitimately surgically turned into a walrus, and like I think they removed his tongue too. Which don't walruses have tongue? I don't know. I would have let them continue talking. I don't know. And basically, Justin Long's character turns into just basically becomes an animal by the end of the movie. And at the end of the movie ends. He's saved, but at what cost? He's still a walrus, and like his friends see him and are just horrified. And he gets sent to like the Manitoba animal sanctuary. That's where he lives now. He's a human. And I was thinking, like, couldn't they still fix him? Like, he may not have arms or legs, but like, I don't know. Couldn't they? And they could help him communicate. I don't know. Feels like he shouldn't have to live. I don't know. There was no happy ending to this movie. And, it's gruesome. It's gross. It's the fucking home. It's fucking horrifying, dude. Like, I'm not having nightmares about it, but it like disturbs me. I'm like this idea is like your life as you knew it is now over. You now have to accept becoming a walrus or be nothing at all. Like that's a quote from something like from the movie. I'm like at that point I'd be like, I have to die. Like, and I don't know at what point I would have the will to live if I was turned into like my gun was cut out and I was surgically turned into a walrus. I couldn't do it. Like, and I don't know. At that point, you just have to put me down. Please, if I'm ever turned into an animal, and there's no way back, please just someone put me out of my fucking misery, dude. But then here comes the worst part. Literally the worst part of the movie. I think this was right after we first saw Justin Long be almost turn into a full, after his surgery into a walrus, which is, oh, dude, it's so fucking disturbing. Basically, they go to a diner, and this detective, played by fucking Johnny Depp, with his fucking fake French-Canadian accent, comes in, and it's one of those scenes where, like, I can see there being an extended cut of it, but in reality, they need to, like, cut it down for pacing, because after this, the pacing just... Any scene that Johnny Depp was in, like, the pacing of the movie just went to an almost stop. And he talks about how he ran into the guy. It's like, what the fuck is his name? Tusk movie. Howard Ho or something like that, yeah. And also realize that the main character's name is Wallace, which also sounds like walrus. So anyways, though, yeah, Johnny Depp, they're sitting in their diner and they're having a fucking scene with Johnny Depp, which is way too long of a movie, way too long of a scene, and it's also not funny. It's trying to be funny, and it's definitely not funny. Right after you saw a man just fucking butchered and turned into a walrus, the last thing I think I'm about to do is fucking, like, let's have a little chuckle. Fucking Johnny Depp's Canadianness, stop. And then he says he went to this guy's house. So he went to Howard Ho's house, okay? And what happened is he's trying to interview him, and Howard Ho is pretending that he is in the 1930s, they would have definitely dropped the R word. I would say special needs. He's playing a special needs man. So that's cool scene. That part also goes on way too long. And yeah, he figured out from something he said about humans being the biggest monsters of all or something like that. And that's how he knows it's that guy. And then he left and stuff like that. So yeah, that was just, I'm just saying though, when you watch someone just cut open and turn into a walrus, and then there's a scene of a guy pretending to be mentally disabled, I gotta say, it did not flow well. I don't like it. And you know what? I think I think Johnny Depp deserved... He didn't deserve everything Amber did to him, but he deserved the shit in the bed for this movie. Johnny Depp deserved to have his bed shat on because of his role in the movie Tusk, okay? Johnny Depp deserved that shit because that was his role. Like, I'm not saying this is the worst movie I ever saw. This is the most traumatizing movie I've ever seen. But I'm not saying it's the worst, but this has to be Johnny Depp's worst performance of all time. Like, this is not even good. Like, I was at a point watching, I'm like, is this scene gonna end soon? Like, Jesus fucking Christ, I am so, like, you just automatically, after, like, you think it's gonna be funny for a little bit, and then it just keeps going on and on and on. You're like, God damn it, I want to take a shit in this guy's bed. I wanted to take a shit in this guy's bed. Amber, you can blame me for that one. I did it. I'm gonna take the fall for shitting in Johnny Depp's bed. Because of Tusk, the movie Tusk. I will take that from you, Amber. That's my crime, okay? All the other ones are yours, but that one's mine. So deduct some money from her and from what she owes him, and put that on my tab, Johnny. I'm never gonna pay you. I'm probably never even gonna see that much money in my life. So I play music, Johnny. You play music too, just a lot worse than me. I don't like saying I'm better than people in music, but because Johnny Depp took that role in Tusk, I believe, yeah, he does kind of suck at guitar. He's one of those guys. I think it's better like when musicians start on a good guitar, on a bad guitar, because I think it makes them play a lot better. And when people compliment me all the time, they're like, how do you play everything so clearly? I'm like, I don't know, practice. And I always just say practice, but in reality, it's probably because I played shit guitars and it made me have to force my fingers to make good tone out of that shit. Anyways, though, that was Tusk, the most traumatizing movie I've probably ever watched in my life. You know, my friend Josh Casey would not watch it and tell people to watch it. I watched it, and I'm going to tell you that you don't need to watch it. Hopefully, this podcast is a warning for you. Kevin Smith, you're on my list now of people who've wronged me, but I don't need to kill and who are fine, you know. I remember when he survived his heart attack, and I was like, good for him. I'm glad he's doing okay. Now I'm questioning it, and I can't, this movie was also crowdfunded too, right? Like, people listen to his podcast and wanted this. So, Kevin, we have a little bit of beef. We may need to figure out.
Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something else.